Hello everyone. Today I'm starting a new channel and we're going to be doing just strictly ASMR from here on out on this channel. So welcome to ASMR or Have I Gone Too Far with me. You've probably also seen me on #HealthyShit, which is my vegan cooking show and vlog channel. Hello, if you've been there. And today we have a video. We're going to start off. It was been requested by dear Nicholas. Nicholas requested that I do an ASMR of a review of the movie Matilda. Now, I just finished watching it, got my setup in place. I finally have some time to film. Sorry it took so long, but let's get to it. Now, I noticed that within the first 10 minutes of the movie, we knew exactly what it was going to be. This poor girl, completely neglected by her family, abused, but she was just so intelligent, and we could all see that through how everything was portrayed. And you see them, the first couple of scenes, you see the family coming out of the hospital, but instead of being so overjoyed over their baby, they're just upset that the baby costs so much, and that they were like, what are they gonna do if we don't pay the bill? Repossess the baby? Not the greatest start to a film. Oh, the greatest start to this film in showing how the family sees the child and how everything's gonna start from how everything starts from the beginning. We see them taking the baby from the hospital. The man is carrying the car seat in such an odd way. Doesn't buckle the car seat in, just throws it in the back of the car. See the other child that's been sitting in the car in the heat, fanning itself. But yeah, everything, all of that's done for effect. I think, they over exaggerated a few things to just show how she wasn't really a part of that family, how they really never accepted her, even from the beginning. And they make it to the house. The family doesn't realize that she knows how to spell her name. Out in the cream spinners, they're just worried about the mess. And that's just the first 10-15 minutes. Let's see. About 20 minutes in, we see the child realize that the parents she lived with and the family she lives with are quite ignorant, and it's like they're scared of her intelligence. And we see her, and she's trying to overcome everything already at such a young age. They don't want to give her a book, so she looks up and reads in a phone book how to find a library and how to get there all by herself at such a tender age. And she finally gets that library, and it was like 10 blocks. Poor thing had to walk by herself because her family couldn't even get her a book. Poor thing. If you ever seen my house and any kind of tutorials I've done or showing of my house, I have hundreds. They're everywhere. I would die if I wasn't allowed to have books. Oh my goodness. But let's see. Oh, there was the part where we find that the dad, what he does for a living, and we see what the other family does. How those people are just all wrapped up in themselves. Don't really see their children very much. They see them, they feed them, but that's about it. Don't really get to know them as people at all. And we see what the dad does. He's a used car salesman, but he's a crook. And the little girl sees that her dad is in fact a crook. That he takes really old cars that he buys for cheap, does things that are completely unethical so he could sell them and make lots of money off of people. Sorry, I've got a cat in the background. What are you doing? He's decided to join me in my setup. So if you see a cat head poke up, I'm sorry. And we see the little girl with her dad at work. And she's like, Daddy, you're a crook. He's like, what did you say? And he starts fussing at her again for her catching on and being observant of just the kind of people her family are. And then he finally, after selling a heavily beat up, messed up car to a principal, he realizes, oh, let's put her in school. So he comes back from selling god awful woman a car, and he's like, tomorrow you're going to school. And she's like, yay, because she's been asking her to go to school. They've been so wrapped up in their lives, they never realized that they never put her in school. She's 6.5 years old. And they get her in school. She's so excited to have friends and just not be home with everyone that doesn't pay attention to her or be completely by herself, because she's been neglected for years and years, where everyone just leaves the house and leaves the small child to live by herself. And then she realizes school is another place where people are intolerant of how smart she is, thinks, different things. She makes a friend on the first day because she's trying to hide. And she meets this little girl named Lavender. Matilda meets Lavender, and that's when Trunchbull, I think the lady's name was, Trunchbull comes out stomping around in this, I'm sorry, but it looks like a Nazi or North Korean outfit made for a woman that's got entirely too short of a skirt, in my opinion. But it's got a short skirt, but it looks like it's made for a Nazi, and she's just stomping around in her messy bun, sweaty, gross. Woman looks like she hasn't showered in 3 years. Terrifying all these children, getting them to line up. Grabs these girls by the pigtail, swings her around, throws her somewhere. It's just unreal. She lands just over the fence and slides and crashes for hours. I thought that was so cool. And let's see. What else? Oh, and she meets her new friends. And then she meets her teacher. And the teacher is talking about how, oh, if you don't know anything, it's fine. You're brand new. Everyone's been here for a while, and they understand things if you don't. They start doing the times tables, and she's right along with the kids, knowing all the times tables, even though she hasn't been to school yet, and she's behind, supposedly, behind everyone else. And then the teacher throws out these large numbers. It's like 13 times 349 or something like that. And she does it. And the teacher's like, the kids are like, and they have these faces of like, that can't be right. The teacher checks it, and she's like, that's correct. And then the whole class goes, ooh, because the little girl knew how to multiply these large numbers. I can't even do that, and I was an accounting major. That's terrifying. I cannot do those large numbers in my head, and that little small girl could do it. And the little girl is just like, she's so excited when she comes home from school. Mom doesn't care. She's on the phone. And she makes all these efforts, puts a pillow to her head just so she doesn't have to hear about this little girl's day, because she's so wrapped up in her phone conversation. And the little girl walks her home. She's like, I had a good day. She's like, she's got like 6th grade homework when she's only supposed to be in like kindergarten, because she's just that smart. She can do all the work. And then you see another day goes by, and the teacher shows up to her home when she's reading, and all the family's watching TV and eating these god-awful looking TV dinners. And the teacher tries to explain to the family, oh, she's so smart, she's so this. She really could, like, skip some grades in school and be ready for college in no time. The family's like, she's not going to college. College never does anything for anybody. And they were like, she's just a snot-nosed brat and all these kind of things. And, like, the teacher's like, no, she's actually a decent child, is very nice, and is very smart. And the mom's like, I went on my looks, like, doing her little hair. Like, I went off my looks, and now I live in a giant house. You're a teacher, you went to college, and now you gotta deal with all those kids all day. Trying to downgrade education, and teacher's, like, heartbroken. She's like, why don't these people realize how smart their daughter is? And realize how important education is. Well, the father's a crook. The mother is what seems to be a washed-up beauty queen that plays bingo all day, and the son is a delinquent that is unhealthy and also looks like he hasn't showered in 3 years. So the mom's so busy with looking pretty, she doesn't notice the world around her. Things like that. And the teacher, on her way out of the room, after the family kicks her out, is like, whatever, we're not talking to you anymore. She just puts books for the little girl to find. And I'm like, that's awesome. To find the teacher and just like help cultivate this child and like help nurture that smart side of her that everyone else dismisses and says, oh, you're small, so you're stupid. She's not stupid at all. No one else realizes this because they're just so wrapped up in themselves. And then the girl goes to school the next day, and I think it was the next day? Let's see. Ignorant father. I got notes written down here. My handwriting is atrocious. So let's see. Makes friends. She realizes her dad's a crook. Oh, the teacher comes in. The principal comes to teach her class. And on the way to going to class, her car breaks down. And she realizes that little girl's father was the one that sold her the rusty car. So when they're on their way inside the school, the lady throws her in the choke, which honestly looks like something from a Freddy Krueger nightmare. It's got all these rusty nails and things and like sharp glass and giant rusty nails poking through the door that they throw the girl in and slam the door. Before she even says or does anything, she's like, I'm not my dad. I didn't do that to you. Lady doesn't care. Throws her in there. And then she goes to go and teach that class and be like, they go there and they're like, hide all the color. Hide all the fun stuff. She's coming. Trench Bomb is coming. And they're hiding up all these beautiful collages and all these wonderful learning tools behind these giant, ugly, like, taupe-looking drape things. So Trench Bomb doesn't see him. Trench Bomb doesn't see him. And she gets there. Trench Bomb is, but she does, terrifying children for no reason. I mean, you don't have to like children, but if you don't like children, don't be a principal. My opinion. And she's teaching a class. She's like, you! She picks out a boy from the back. And you just see her asking the boy to come to the front. While she's doing that, the teacher goes and finds the little girl in the choke room with all the rusty nails and like helps her escape, brings her back to the classroom. And of course, the teacher is like trying to save the children from this god-awful principal and all the evil, abusive things she's doing to these poor kids, which hopefully didn't actually happen that way, and if it did, that is freaking scary. It's from a different time period, but it was awful and terrifying. All the things that happen to these children in this movie. When you're growing up, you're like, oh, that sucks. When you're an adult, you're like, that's illegal. These rusty nails and all these unsafe conditions and all the abuse these children put up with. But it's like, you see all this as an adult, as somebody that's a caregiver, and I'm just like, that's awful. But anyway, back to the movie. Let's see. The child escapes from the chokehold, and one of the students had put a salamander in the water. And like, there's a salamander in the water glass, and the evil lady drinks it. She's like, oh, a snake. And Matilda raises her hand. She's like, that's not a snake. That's a salamander. And then she's like, chewing this girl out. She's like, you're the one that did it. And you know, she's like, I didn't do it. She couldn't have. She was in a choke. Somebody else put it in the water. She didn't physically have time to even do that. You locked her away before she even made it in the building. How was she even able to do that? And she's just like going, I didn't do it. And then it's like, everyone staying behind for like 5 hours or something because she got upset. She comes home after school, after detention. It's been 5 hours after school. And her family is just like, where have you been all day? She's like, the teacher made us stay after class for 5 hours. And, oh, I forgot the part about the chocolate cake, too. The boy that ate the chocolate cake, that was absolutely disgusting. it looks all rich and chocolatey and everything. But when you see that cook just like, and like touch everything and then just wrap her hands on her and just put this giant juicy cake in front of this boy, and I'm just like, ugh, just I cannot imagine. I'm like, I know that cake is probably delicious, but at the same time, I'm afraid that cook put something in it besides chocolate, and it's disgusting. And then we went back to when the girl gets home from school. It's been 5 extra hours. The dad is yelling and yelling and yelling. And then the little girl is just like walking to her room. And she's like, Dad, yell at me. He's like, oh, I'm gonna yell at you. And she's like, yell at me some more. And he's yelling, yelling. And that's when she realizes she can slam the door. Because she's hit and miss with the powers before in the beginning of the movie. But now she realizes she can slam the door if she gets incredibly upset. She slams the door. She locks it. And then the next thing, you see her, and she's just figuring out how to do all of her powers and get everything like that. And like do all those things. And then the next day she goes back to school. And she talks to her teacher. And her teacher are having a heart-to-heart. And she's just like, after school, do you want to come to my house? And she's like, yes, I like that very much. So school day ends. She walks with the teacher back to the teacher's home. And the teacher's telling her this story about how this girl had her family die, and then she ended up having to live with her aunt. Her aunt was a terrible person. And she's just like, that evil lady was Trunchbull, and that little girl was you. Trunchbull. That little girl was you. She's like, yes. And you see this just most beautiful, idyllic cottage. I know how to speak, I swear. Idyllic cottage you've ever seen in your whole life. This cute little thing with all the flowers. Just a beautiful little cottage in the middle of nowhere. And you have to walk past this giant house that looks like at one point it was absolutely beautiful. But now it looks like a haunted house. Like the shell of a home it used to be before. Just desperately dirty, overgrown with trees. Then you see this beautiful idyllic cottage right next to it. It's beautiful. And then the little girl is talking to the teacher, and she's just like, I used to have a china-faced doll, porcelain doll, a china-faced doll, and I used to have all these things, but I had to leave them when I left that house and had to live on my own. So it's like she left all the pictures of her family, she left her dolls, she left everything of her father that had died and the reason why she had to live with her aunt, the evil lady. And you just feel so sad for that teacher. That her mother died. Her father decided that even though the woman was not the greatest and like a half-sister to his wife, he's just like, oh, you're a woman. Take this small child. Even though that woman should not be around children ever. Should be in prison. And you realize that this sweet woman that's helping cultivate all this education and knowledge for these small children, doing all these beautiful projects with them, was treated so badly by this evil woman growing up. And the little girl was just like, the little girl was like watching the lady leave from the house on the way to the teacher's cottage. And she's like, well, she's gone, why don't we just go get your stuff? Pretty much. That's pretty much what she says. She's like, no, Matilda, don't do that. And the girl goes like, I don't care. Just starts running up after the evil principal lady is gone. And she's just going through the home, and it's like you can tell this house at one point was so beautiful. It was just ornate and had all this beautiful crown molding and all this lovely, like, finishes. It's just a beautiful house. But now it's got holes in the walls. It's covered in dust. It's got pictures of this god awful woman everywhere. These painted portraits of this woman looking so superior and strong when she... Disgusting, by the way. Ugh. If she was a nicer person, these pictures would probably come out more... pictures would probably come out nicer. And you just see, again, the shell of what this home used to be. It used to be a home with a family that loved each other, and now it's a shell of a house run by this tyrant of a woman, and it's just gone into disrepair and clutter and filth. This woman is chasing after the little girl. The teacher is chasing after the little girl and just like sees what's happened to her childhood home, sees the holes in the walls, and sees all her father's pictures removed and replaced with the pictures of this lady. It's not very good. And the little girl was just like, let's eat one of the chocolates. She's like, oh no, she used to count them and never let me have any chocolates because she said chocolate is too good for children. I'm like, excuse me? In my head, I'm just like, you're taking chocolate away from children? I knew you were evil, but dang, that's some extra evilness right there. That's just insane. She's like, she used to count the chocolates. I couldn't have any. And she's like, I used to split one chocolate between me and my father at night. I'm like, you and your dad used to split one candy? She wouldn't even let you have half of a piece of chocolate? That's crazy. The amount of neglect and abuse in that house. All this money, this giant house, and she couldn't have half of one chocolate. It really stuck with me. It's like, did they starve this poor girl? How did she grow up with her relationship with food after that? To not being allowed to have chocolate because children don't deserve nice things. Sorry, but in my opinion, children deserve nice things. They deserve respect. They deserve to be talked to like they're human beings. Because when you don't treat children like they're humans, they stop acting like humans. But that's my opinion. And they don't manage to make it out with any of the things for the teacher. They don't get caught, but the teacher's car breaks down. The lemon that the girl's father had sold her. And you just see this woman pick up her car, flip it around in the street, and like push it to her house. And it's like she's supposed to be like this Olympic champion, or at one point she was supposed to be in Olympics or whatever for like shot put and javelin and a thing where you just throw the ball, and I think that's shot put. I don't know. I wasn't allowed to be in sports growing up, so I don't know all those terms for all those little things they were throwing and things they did in track and field and things. And the lady pushes her car back and she goes into the house and she realizes the lid on the chocolate box has been moved, and she hears all these sounds in the house. So she hears the little girl and the teacher in the house. The teacher's like, I'll make a distraction. Go out down these stairs and to this door. Well, the teacher makes a distraction, but the evil woman turns around and she's like she's sniffing the air, like she can smell the children. And the little girl, she makes it to the staircase. She goes down the staircase. The staircase is just full of like pots and pans and like pieces of metal and just like scrap metal. And like this beautiful house, that this entire stairway is just filled with just metal garbage and pots and pans. And it's like, while she's going through that cluttered hallway, it makes all the noise because she's trying to go through all the pots and pans, and it's making sound the whole way. Evil woman rears her ugly head and goes see what the noise is. But right when she's going towards, the little girl realizes the door the teacher had told her to get to was nailed shut. This woman nailed her back door shut for seemingly no reason at all. And inside this kitchen, which where the back door was, and it's like, you just see how ugly this kitchen is. It's full of dust. It's full of dishes. It's full of half-eaten food. There's this giant chocolate cake that she had previously, like one of the ones she had previously fed to that poor child. She just force-fed him cake. And the little girl was just like, she hides underneath the table because she knows the lady's coming. The lady's looking around, smelling, looking around, like some kind of predator. It's unreal. She goes to look underneath the table and the little girl's not there. You see the little girl, like, in the top of the table, like, ninja style, pressing up against the top of the table so she doesn't get seen. And then the teacher that's on the other side of the house makes a noise. So the little girl can go out through a different door. Her and the teacher meet outside, and they make their way through the house, and they finally go outside. And the principal is just like losing her mind because she's just like, who's in this house? Who's in this house? And they finally make their way out. The principal's hot on their tail, but she never sees them, and they get to escape. And they're just like, oh, that's the scariest thing I've ever done. Oh my goodness. And let's see my notes. Let's see. Practical popo, nailed shut, giant chocolate cake, narrowing escape, beautiful mansion. Yep. The child realizes her emotions control the power. She practices. There's that scene where it's like poker chips flying all over the place. And there's one where she stops the police from searching her house. And seeing that they're like, do you have a warrant? The police are trying to find stuff to like get her dad in trouble because he's been selling stolen car parts on his cars and like things like that to make extra money. She stops police from getting her dad in trouble. And then she realizes she's got her powers, she's practiced them, and she pretty much breaks into the principal's house. And she's like, I know the teacher told me not to go inside the lady's house. She's like, I'm not going to go inside the lady's house. She puts on her backpack. She's making her way through the house. The brother tries to stop her. And the brother is like trying to flick a carrot at her. She stops the carrot. She just zooms it back at him. She leaves. She's just walking through this god-awful thunderstorm. She's like, I'm going to get the doll back. I'm going to get the chocolate for my teacher, because the teacher is the only person that's really shown her kindness and supported her and like helped and like taught her that it's okay to be smart and that you are in fact smart. So the little girl, she's gonna want to do something nice for the woman that's actually treated her like a person. So she goes on top of the roof of the garage of the house. So technically she didn't go inside the house. So she obeyed what the teacher said. So she can't get in trouble for that, because technically she didn't break into the house like she did last time. And she's on the roof. She's doing her powers. She's just like, she opens the window, and you see the doll floating out from the window. And then the rain and the wind just pushes it against a tree, and she's like using like the Matilda force. And like you see the doll come towards her, and she's just like, she's trying to get the doll to come near her. And she gets the doll and she hugs onto it. And she's just like, now that I've got the doll, I'm gonna mess with her. And you just see the lady, the little girl is just at the window. And she just starts making all these things in the house happen to like scare this woman. She like moves the electrical up and down so the lights flicker. She makes those giant shot put things like fall down from the stairs, and like the picture of her comes off the wall and goes into the fire, and she takes a picture of the father from upstairs and has it float down, and the lady's like, Magnus. And then the picture just goes where it's supposed to be, where the picture of the old evil lady was. And then when this lady's freaking out and where's everything going on with the house, the little girl, she uses her powers and she like gets those 2 pieces of chocolate out of that chocolate bowl. Talk about petty, but so worth it to have those 2 pieces of chocolate from that father's chocolate bowl. What? And I was like, you can buy chocolate, but she stole that chocolate because that was the chocolate that belonged to the lady from that bowl. She has the 2 pieces of chocolate, she has the doll, and you see the next day of her getting off from school, getting off the school bus to get into school, and she meets the teacher outside, and she just hands her the doll and the chocolates. And like one of the chocolates, she's like, I ate my chocolate last night. She goes to hand her like a bonbon or something, the piece of chocolate from the thing. And they see the lady drive up, and they just like hide everything. And this beautiful doll, which is a porcelain doll, but it looks like a teenage version of a porcelain doll. I don't know. It was odd looking, but it looked exactly like the little girl, which is probably why the teacher liked the little girl so much. Just saying. Besides her being, psychic, incredibly smart, and a decent human being, it looked exactly like her childhood doll. That's probably another reason why she liked her so much. And you see the teacher just hide the doll behind her back and like, I'll be teaching your class today. And again, they go inside, they hide all the colorful things, they hide all the beautiful teaching aids the teacher and the children have made to like help them learn. And she's just like, Trunchbull comes in and she's just like, I knew you were there. I know you were at my house. And it's like, they have the little ribbon. She's like, it's a child's ribbon. And she throws it on the ground. She stomps on it and she spits on the ribbon. And I'm like, was that really necessary? To stomp on a child's hair ribbon because you hate children that much? That doesn't really make sense to me. And have them all line up. And then the little girl does all the same like kind of antics she did at the house. Because the girl got upset because this lady was screaming at them again. Like had them all lined up, was kicking their desk out the way. All those things. Just like showing of power. And then the little girl, Matilda, goodness, she was writing on the chalkboard. She's like, Agatha, you did like this. Like she was the father of the girl that had, the dead father of the girl, the teacher. And it's just like writing all this out. She's like, give my little girl back her house and all her money and blah, 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 blah. And oh my goodness, it was amazing. And it's like, the teacher is like, throws this boy outside. Well, the boy, instead of falling, Matilda has him just like swan dive, like a paper airplane, and then come back. And this woman is just like, lands on top of this globe. She spins the globe. She's just twirling about. She's get clapped on by like erasers and things. It's just complete chaos. And we're getting close to the end of the movie, so don't worry. If you've been here for the long while, I appreciate you. And the woman finally comes to. She stops spinning. She's not covered in chalk dust. And then all the kids' lunches just fly out of their bags. The kids look down at the lunches. They look at the lady. They just start pelting her with it. Like Game of Thrones, Xerxes Walk of Shame, just throwing stuff at her. If you don't know that Game of Thrones reference, I'm so sorry. But just like, this woman is just like walking through the schools and all these children are just pelting her with like water and fruit and like weird food things from their lunches. She's just like screaming and like disheveled. Her Nazi uniform is just like all over the place and untucked and finally creased and doesn't have the belt anymore. She gets in her car and she just backs up and flees. It was like, evil is defeated. And then the next part, you see that the little girl is at the cottage, at the house of the lady. The house is redone. It's all nice again. It's like its order's been restored because the lady that used to live here was now back in her father's house, and it was her home now because Trunchbaum had left because she was so upset and just all the children pelting her, and she was so superstitious about the ghost of her dead brother-in-law, and it's crazy. And yet again, this little girl's family drives up when she's in one of the most happiest moments of her life, and they go to ruin it once again. They go to be ignorant and just like remove her from her happiness. And they're like, come on, we're all going to Guam so daddy doesn't end up in jail. Oops, sorry, sir. I'm moving a pillow. Cat didn't like that. And little girl's like, no, I don't want to go with you. I'm finally good here, and I have my teacher and all my friends, and it's like I finally fit in now, and I'm finally happy. She's like, just let me stay here with my teacher. And the mom's like, why would we do that? The teacher doesn't want you here. And teacher's like, yes I do. I love her. I want her here. And the little girl's like, let her adopt me. And I'm like, fairy book ending or not, what? And the little girl's like, I have adoption papers right here. And the mom's like, where did you get those? She's like, I Xeroxed them from the library. See, little cat face. Here he is. And I've been having these papers in my backpack since I learned how to Xerox. The family thinks about it. They talk to the teacher. And they're like, you're not going to give us any alimony or like child agreements, huh? We're not going to have to pay anything. The teacher's like, no, she's covered. This lady got left a whole bunch of money in a giant house. I think they'll be fine. And they're like, fine. Well, these people finally did the decent thing for once in their daughter's life and gave her to somebody that actually cared about her. And that's like the end of the movie where you're just like, this little girl that's so smart has been treated so badly this entire length of this movie now has the family she wants. That woman that got treated so badly by that evil woman now has a family and a child of her own that she can take care of and read with and all this other stuff in this giant house, and she's not alone anymore. And it's just so beautiful how this woman that had no family, this little girl that had no family, got together and they became their family. And it just goes to show you that blood isn't always thicker than water. If the family you were born into may not be the family you live with, may not be the family that cares about you, but somewhere out there you might be able to find a family and somebody that cares about you. However weird you may be, however superpowered you may be, how much of a nerd you like to be, and how much you like to read, there's always going to be someone out there that's going to care about you. And this video has been 40 minutes long, so I hope you enjoyed it. I hoped my voice hasn't been too loud and has been the caliber of ASMR you wanted and wasn't just a podcast of me talking into this microphone entirely too close, which this microphone has aggravated you. Trust me, it's aggravated me more. But I wanted to make sure you could hear me because I live with a cat, construction, an airport, and a very loud air conditioner in my single room apartment. So, thank you for watching. Hopefully I'll be able to do another video soon. But in the comments, another movie you'd like me to review or a topic you'd like me to do. I've got a few topics already I'm thinking about. Like better, like visionary stuff. Like I'll take you through a visual journey. Like I'll talk about, like, I will just paint a picture for you with words. Just tell me, like, where you want me to put you. Where do you want to be? And where do you want me to take you? So, I'll see you next time. Bye now.